Hello everybody, good morning, welcome back to more CSGO news. I hope you guys all enjoyed your weekend. It was a great weekend for CSGO. All of today's stories will be timestamped down below. Let's hop into the first one, why don't we? We're going to be talking about, yes, IEM Chicago and Liquid's continued dominance. I know I'm probably spoiling for a few of you guys out there, but if you didn't hear about this by now, well then you probably should have. That being Liquid continuing their dominance. Everyone now sees it, everyone knows it. They are clear-cut the #1 team in the world and continue to actually prove themselves in breaking Astralis' records in their previous era, that being 6 LAN victories in a row. 6 straight LAN tournaments are theirs. That's 6 straight trophies, 9 grand final appearances throughout this year alone. They're so... It's weird to me how much they've actually become in the past few months, because of course we saw a little bit of this throughout 2018 and throughout 2019. They never looked back, and they are now the by far and away #1 team in the world, continue to do so. They drop a single map here at IEM Chicago. Last weekend when they took Blast Pro LA, they dropped 0 maps. That's 1 map across 2 separate weekends, and at a single point in time in this grand final during that best of 5, if you guys have not seen this, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, they take down ENCE 3-0. At one point in time, though, on that final map, it was actually at halftime where ENCE finally broke 10 total rounds throughout 3 maps. These guys are insane. Although map 3 was a bit close, I'm glad ENCE pulled it back a little bit. Liquid was very dominant, and there was no short showing across the entire team. Elige, a well-deserved MVP, that guy popped off this event, but to me, it continues to blow my mind that Liquid is just this good right now. But besides that, though, other notes that I want to make, and you guys, of course, can leave your comments down below. It was weird to me to see this kind of ENCE. It was almost disappointing to see this kind of ENCE actually make the grand finals. Now, a side note alongside that, MIBR fans, you guys can rejoice, because it's either somewhat of a miracle or a very disappointing thing to see MIBR actually make it out of groups and make the playoffs. If you guys did see, if you're a G2 fan or an Envy fan, yes, MIBR was able to beat both those teams in best of 3s with a coach. So, I do say either a miracle for those Brazilian fans, congratulations, MIBR making playoffs is a pretty big feat with a coach, and alongside that, a pretty utter disappointment to see a team like G2. Envy, I would say at this point in time, maybe a bit not so surprising where they're at and where they've been with this new roster, or newish roster, but to see a team like G2 lose to MIBR in a best of 3 while they play against a coach, that was pretty disappointing. And when I say that, ENCE themselves in the semifinals against MIBR, yes, it goes to map 3. I wouldn't say it was too close of a series besides losing a map to MIBR. They did not look like the ENCE that we have seen, well last major. They have not looked that way, to me at least, for quite some time, but this event especially, I was very disappointed in the ENCE that actually made the grand finals. Congrats to the team, I'm glad they made it there, but I just don't think at this point in time, besides Vitality at this event, there was any team anywhere near the caliber of Liquid, and so it's not too big of a surprise. Now, speaking of which, I think Vitality, based out of their group placement, they actually got matched up against Liquid in the semifinals. If that wasn't going to happen, guys, I think it would have been another easy grand final appearance for the Vitality guys. Unfortunately enough, though, you lose one series, opening series to Heroic, and then you fall and you have to actually face Liquid in the semifinals. Either way, guys, a very weird event, a very not surprising event. Liquid dominates once again. They are now breaking Astralis era records, and they continue to actually shock me in the fashion they do so. Either way, I still think a really, really good event, and the crowd was loving it. The North American crowd, I kind of tweet out about this as well. I couldn't tell if the crowd was annoying me or hyping me up, but I feel like if I was in the moment, especially in North America, me being an American fan, I would have loved the crowd. And speaking of crowds, our next story, that being a clip surfacing from Blast Pro LA this past weekend, this past weekend, I should say, and people thinking apparently the crowd noises might have been faked for a few of the clips. So we'll roll it for all of you.
Not believe it. That is so absurd. I mean, he had the lineup, fair play. He had the lineup, fair play, but what?
Now, when I first heard this, I was on the bus, guys. I was on the big old bus saying, yes, Blast Pro, frick those guys. They've done so much wrong, so much maybe not even wrong, so many controversial things out there. And so I joined the bandwagon, I joined that bus, and I said, this is obviously fake. Now, after further review, even though it's still a bit debatable, many players out there, many people out there have also responded after attending the event, actually being there and saying it was not faked. It was actually a difference between the type of mic or how close the mic was. the way the audio was actually ran itself, and along with that, when you actually watch the clip, it did seem like the actual crowd noise was a bit precariously played. So I think it was just kind of a mix-up as to when to actually play the crowd noise, which did actually happen, but the timing of when they played the crowd noise made people think it was a bit off. Does that make sense to all of you? You guys can leave a comment down below whether or not you do think it's fake. I'm kind of on the standpoint that I do not think it's fake. I don't think Blast Pro would go to that extent, although who knows what to expect with Blast Pro. But based off comments, based off feedback, I don't think it's fake. Could I see it being real? Maybe a little bit of me. So you guys can leave your thoughts on that. Either way, just a funny thing to see Blast Pro possibly messing things up, even though I don't think they did. Yo, Germans, what's up, people? How you guys doing? You have one good team right now, that being Team Sprout, and it seems like they might be divided and gutted out like every other rising team out there. I don't mean to sound angry, because I don't know why. I'm not angry about this. It's actually, though, former big coach himself, that being Kakafu, taking to stream, and I don't know if he was caught out by this or he actually meant to leak this kind of stuff. He was actually a former coach. I think he's a current analyst for that big roster, and he does say, translation of the screenshot on screen for all of you guys, supposedly it will be Giraffe after their minor run, which is now done. As you guys know, the disappointing finish they did have there. They were the second to last place finishing team. The only team they actually did beat was Team Ancient, who placed dead last at that qualifier. So certainly a very disappointing run for big fans out there. Apparently Giraffe will be taking a step back, and Smooya will fill in until more Sprout players become available. Now, when I actually say those last few words, I get very confused because they've already taken Dennis from Sprout, and I think a lot of us could agree he has not been a very big enlightenment, a very big addition to this big roster so far. I don't think very impressive by most standards out there, so I'm curious, are they going to be replacing him with one of his former teammates on Team Sprout? And then again, you have to ask the question, if they're being open with this, is Team Sprout going to sell another player or another couple of players? As Kakafu did say, players, not player, becomes available from Sprout. So ideally, it seems that Big Clan is actually going to be eyeing a couple of players out there, which would raise the question as to what players will be leaving Big Clan. Gabi apparently being one of them, and of course, people out there thinking maybe a Dennis. Some people think Xantares, although apparently Kakafu has also said in the past it will not be Xantares, which to an extent does make sense because they went so far out of their way to actually acquire him. Why put him on the bench for now? So we'll see what big changes do happen, guys, because it should be happening sometime soon, or at least sometime around this major run, because Big will not be there. Either way, big changes coming for Big's roster, and I've said Big way too many times now. And very lastly, I know I'm not important, okay? I know a few of you guys might be saying, Jake, I like your videos, you know, I like the way you do CSGO news, I like that you share stuff with thank you. I'm glad you think that, but in the overall gist of things, right, compared to pro players, compared to reporters, compared to Richard Lewis and Thorne and Decay and all those great guys out there, I mean relatively very little to the community, although I think it'd be great to actually take part in a few things out there, one of them being Scott Smith and his tweet a couple of days ago about a CS Summit, potentially to kind of resolve some player issues and just the overall scene itself, and it would actually include a lot of people out there, organizational members, players, so on and so forth, from different teams as well, and if I could even recap the event itself, that would be a blessing in disguise for me. So I'm really curious to see what this actually does become. Will I get invited? Likely not, but I'm going to put it out there. I would love to attend if at all possible and see some of those people and understand what they're going to be talking about behind the scenes. If not, though, I will definitely recap. I'm sure Decay will be there as well to report a story for all of us to cover on here about what goes down, but some big things happening for the player association, as well as apparently Scott Smith trying to associate some players out there with other members of the community to try and resolve any issues currently standing in the community and try and figure out things for the future of CSGO. I think a great premise, a great idea, and we've already seen the replies. So many big figures want to go to this, so I'm very excited to see what does come of this. It probably will not be anytime soon, but it's going to be a big event, and when it does happen, you better believe I'll be breaking it down on here for all of you. That's going to do it for today's episode of CSGO News. I'll be breaking down the minors tomorrow. So North American and European minors are now done. There were some pretty crazy things happening, and I will break those down here tomorrow, along with some other CSGO news for all of you. As always, thank you guys for watching. I greatly do appreciate you guys. Now be safe, drink some coffee. I need mine. I'll be back here later today breaking down other esports news, but I'll see you back here tomorrow with more CSGO. All right, see you soon. Love you.